Hey guys, this is Bwana. Welcome to the video. We're going to be talking about Torchlight Infinite Cube of Rapacity, next season coming up on May 9th. I did a video covering the launch reveal live stream. If you haven't checked that out, check out the link in the show description. I also put a little clicky thingy at the top right. You can check that out. Today we're going to be talking about a follow-up video to that announcement. And it's going to be about the patch notes. The season patch notes have been revealed over on the Torchlight site for Cube of Rapacity. First and foremost, the official launch time is 8 o'clock UTC plus 8 on May 10th. It's going to be May 9th our time. And they have a note here. It's important to note that some modifications are still underway before the new season officially starts. So take these patch notes under consideration with that, meaning that some things could possibly change between the publishing of the patch notes and the actual release. Okay, there's going to be several things in the patch notes. I'm not going to cover every little line item, but I am going to highlight certain things which I think are important. Number one, we're going to talk about the gameplay changes that are coming to Cube of Rapacity, the new systems, Divinity, Slate, and Statue of the New God, new hero Escapist being the new hero trait Incarnation of the Gods, new gameplay, new mechanics, spell burst and command, new skills, legendaries, Pactspirits, balancing, and gameplay adjustments. There's going to be a lot of little things in there, a lot of number changes and tweaks that I won't cover. But again, I want to highlight some of the major things which I think are important. So the first thing, updated gameplay and content. Now, the biggest thing is the actual title of the season, Cube of Rapacity. There's going to be a giant cube at every stage, and you can defeat certain monsters called Malice Incarnations, which will grant you a currency called Desire Crystals. Now, these Desire Crystals will be able to fuel this cube to get you more loot, and you have a chance to get better loot, or, you know, absurdly average bad loot that absolutely never happens. It's also going to be a new season talent called Avarice Code. You can optionally opt to have the entire map filled with these Malice Incarnations so you can get a lot of these Desire Crystals, or you can increase their luck and further pursue the Cube of Craving. Now, what's the Cube of Craving? It is a different kind of cube. It's like a cube plus plus, if you will. And if you get the Cube of Craving, if you're what they say here, if you're fortunate enough, that's the word they use, you can draw from the Cube of Craving and receive even more valuable rewards. Now, on top of this particular thing, you also have a new supreme boss called the Lawbearer, and you have to have a ticket for this Lawbearer. And these Malice Incarnations, these special mobs, they have a chance of dropping a ticket to get the Lawbearer. And of course, since the Lawbearer is going to be really, really strong, he's going to drop really, really good loot. So that is going to be the circle right there. That's going to be the gameplay loop. Cube of Rapacity is going to come up. If you have Desire Crystals, you can basically feed it into the cube to get loot. If you go too far, you can lose everything. You can push your luck, if you will. That's the words they use. And also, there's this Avarice Code that you have a chance to get from the Malice Incarnations. And also, the Malice Incarnations will be able to give you a ticket to the Lawbearer. So that's going to be the farm loop for the major Cube of Rapacity gameplay. Okay, the next system is called Divinity Slate and a Statue of the New God. This is going to be a unique item called a Divinity Slate that can drop. It's going to be associated with the deity that can hold up to 2 random talent affixes from a corresponding existing god. Now, this new god that you're going to be working with, called the Statue of the New God, you're going to be using these Divinity Slates to essentially create a Tetris puzzle of the particular talents that you want. This allows you to mix and match different talent panels and talent affixes to your character, to your hunter, to make it much more flexible. Throughout the process, you can enhance the Divinity Slate by a special branding process. It'll make the Divinity Slate untradeable. So every time you brand this slate, you'll get a new affix or level up an existing one. Now, they're going to give us some reroll materials as well. So if you decide that you don't want to use the particular things that were rolled, you can re-roll it and consume those materials like other things in the game. There's a small chance for an event to happen on your Divinity Slate. It can level up an affix called Divine Entropy. and it empowers hunters with the ability to control something called order and chaos. Not exactly sure what's going to be inside of that, but I can gather it's going to be a little bit better than what we're used to. So another grind loop here we have is called Divinity Slate. We find these slates as we farm, and we use them to build up this new statue, which has various traits in it to augment our character's traits, giving us more customizable options for our character. And it wouldn't be a new season without a new hero. The next thing is our Escapist Bing guy. This is our bomb thrower. He's essentially going to be throwing bombs and projectiles everywhere. It's going to be blowing up the entire map. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking through the skills, I'm not going to go through everything, but I can tell you that there looks to be some scalability between these bombs and the amount of projectiles with things such as attack speed and cast speed. So as you level up those characteristics on your character, your bomb abilities are going to get better and better. I also like what I see about some of these skills about your move speed. Like for example, at level 32, you get a trait called Dangerous Runaway. You get +4 movement speed for each bomb thrown for 3 seconds, which stacks up to 20%. That's really, really good for clearing maps. Also, you can see that bomb speed is fixed at 2 times per second when you get to level 32 with this trait called Quick Processing. And again, all these other skills, they just enhance your bomb throwing damage and your bomb throwing projectile speed and projectile range. And it's essentially going to be a big trapper class. If you've ever done a bomb class in any other ARPGs, this is going to be very similar to that. I hope that it synergizes with the existing things that are in the game. But given by what I'm seeing from these traits, it looks like it's going to be very, very fun. Next up is the new trait Incarnation of the Gods. These are going to be driven by these blessings, and they're going to gain a divine blessing every 2 seconds in the following order: Focus Blessing, Agility, and Tenacity. So it's going to be a juggling effect between all these blessings. Now, I've never played this class, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with these blessings and how they perform. But it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be easy to do. I recommend, if you're going to utilize the Incarnation of the Gods, that you take a close look at all these different traits at different levels and see if they meet what you want to do with your character. I plan to try this when the patch comes out, but right now I don't have an idea of how I could use this. Next up is the Hunter's Forge. Now, players will now need to clear Hunter's Forge to obtain hero traits. Now, this sounds completely new because there's nothing in the system right now that's remotely similar to this. So this was like something to give you an additional challenge to level up your character. Rather than being automatically granted these hero traits, you're now going to have to go through the Hunter's Forge. So we'll see how that turns out. The next thing up is the new mechanic Spell Burst. Spell Burst is triggered by casting a spell skill. Now, when the Spell Burst is cast, it will consume all the stacks associated with this particular skill and cast a spell skill a number of times equal to the number of stacks. So if you get 5 stacks, the spell will kick off 5 times. So it looks like one of those things where you have to manage your stack points and then discharge them at the right time. I imagine this is going to be popular with some of the caster classes. I haven't played any yet, but I do plan to try it. Next up is the new mechanic Command. This is going to be for your minion classes out there, which are one of my favorite at the moment. Command will be gained after equipping a skill that summons minions, and it ranges from -100 to 100. Every point you get will grant 2% minion damage, and they have a bigger tracking area. One of the best things about this is that your minions will not naturally go away when you have a positive value, because again, the range is between -100 and 100. The way it's going to work is that Command will increase or decrease by a certain amount every second until it returns to 0. And if it's positive, your minions won't disappear. Not completely sure how good this is going to be. I'm going to try it, and hopefully it won't make my minions any worse than what they currently are. I could definitely see the potential for some RNG to create some frustrating moments, but let's hope that's not the case. Lots of new skills have been introduced: Lightning Pierce, Thunder Core, Frost Core, Ghostblade Einhar, Error Einhar, Summon Grim Phantom, Magic Dash, Psychic Surge, and Psychic Burst. One thing I noticed from the live reveal stream is that a lot of these skills are very dual purpose, meaning that they do very well for single target and also are very good at multi-targets. They do very good on single targets, and also they have decent AoE capabilities on top of that. That's very useful for a game like this. When you're farming maps, you want to clear as many mobs as possible, but when you get to sub-bosses or you get to the main boss, you want some single target damage as well. A lot of times we make our builds fluctuate between the two skills. We use this for single target, we use this for multiple target, but these are taken into account that we want to have skills that can do a little bit of both. Next up is the new legendaries that are coming out. We got some Dex gloves called Wings of Light, which offer critical damage, max life, and a chance to inflict Intimidated on hit. Intimidated gains additional base effect of plus 30% chance to be inflicted with an ailment, and Intimidated gains an additional base effect of plus 6% additional damage taken for each type of control you're under. Flying Light at Daybreak, this is a Dex helmet. We've got erosion resistance and cold resistance. Eliminate enemies under 8% life on hit. Removes negative effects and dot damage on self upon defeating an enemy under a control effect. Triggers recovery potion upon defeating an enemy under at least 3 control statuses. And a 5% chance to inflict a stack of slow on hit. Arrival of the Polar Knight. This is a strength chest armor. It offers intimidated effects, max life, and enemies within 12 meters are intimidated. Additional life regeneration speed when in low life, and also max life every second for 4 seconds upon hitting an enemy under at least 3 control effects. Crow's Bloom, some Dex boots. Elemental resistance, plus 1% max elemental resistance. Slow effect received, negative percentage of slow effect received, and a substantial movement speed increase. Elemental resistance, as well as a chance to inflict paralysis on hit and blind on hit. We also have an int chest armor called Rebuilding the Gods' Bodies. It offers gear energy shield, and when devouring, it gives you energy shield charge speed, as well as when devouring, immediately restores 30% of lost energy shield if at least a certain amount of stacks of blessings are devoured. So these devourings all depend on the stacks of blessings. It also offers negative percentages of sealed mana. Chopping of the Sublime Head. This is a strength helmet which offers life, fire resistance, and halves the devour interval. It offers a random level 1 6 Gods core talent, as well as you own 1 additional stack of random blessing. Breaking the Eternal Wrist. These are some Dex gloves that offer attack and cast speed, elemental damage increase, gains fervor after devouring. When devouring, randomly cast level 1 Fixate, Safeguard Field, and Blizzard if at least 70 fervor rating is devoured. Cooldown is 4 seconds. Also, when devouring, Critical Strike gains a lucky effect for 1 to 2 seconds if at least 100 fervor rating is devoured. Heals that trap illusions. These are some Dex boots that give you evasion. When devouring, you get a negative percentage of control effects received for a certain amount of time if at least 2 types of the blessings are devoured. You also get some movement speed from these boots, 5 to 10%. When devouring, 90% plus 90% of additional reaping cooldown recovery speed for 1 to 2 seconds if at least 70 blur rating is devoured, and a negative 90% reaping duration. Sage's Riddle, an int helmet, 30 to 40% gear energy shield, as well as 16 to 24% intelligence. You get additional sentry damage for every point of order, and some additional elemental damage for every sentry nearby. Law of the Supreme Will. This is a belt with some erosion resistance, additional armor, and also you gain 1 order every 6 seconds. You get a 20% cooldown recovery speed for 5 seconds when having at least 70 to 80 order. You get a negative 20% order decrease speed and a plus 0.4% movement speed for every point of order you have. Reverse of the Second Will. This is a belt as well. Triggers a level 1 black hole upon dealing trauma damage for 2 seconds. Negative 10 to negative 5% elemental resist. Traumatized enemies deal negative 12 to negative 16% additional damage and negative 40% additional trauma duration. Plus 0.2 to plus 0.5% of additional trauma damage for every point of chaos you have. Tendency of the Stars. This is some int chest armor that offers some additional mana and cold resist. You get plus 1 additional damage and plus 0.2% additional spell damage for skills cast by spell bursts for every point of chaos you have. Plus 1% spell burst charge speed, and plus 0.2 additional main skill damage for every point of order you have. Plus 75 to 100 spell critical strike rating for 5 seconds when order is equal to chaos. Antimony. This is a necklace. Gain 100 order when having no more than 0 order. Gains an order effect equal to plus 140 to negative 140% of current order when order is higher than chaos. Gain the chaos effect equal to plus 40 to negative 140 of current chaos when chaos is higher than order. Negative 10% elemental and erosion resistance when order is higher than chaos. Gains 1 of the following elements when order is lower than chaos. You get negative 10% additional armor, or negative 10% additional energy shield, or negative 10% additional evasion, which lasts for 5 seconds. And it loses 9 order every second. This one sounds like a fun one. And finally, we have Omniscient Prototype, which is an int chest armor. You get gear armor, life, mana, and 100 to 120 energy. Several new Pactspirits have been introduced. attack, survival, drop, and season exclusive pack spirit called the Heart Binding Rose. So check out the stats on these if they interest you. Now let's talk about balancing and gameplay adjustments. They said the content of the balancing adjustments is still to be determined, so we don't have all the final numbers on that. So we'll move to the gameplay adjustments and the Netherrealm random affix system adjustments. If you're not familiar with the Netherrealm, this is the mapping area of the game. Torchlight Infinite has revamped and restructured the base affixes for the Netherrealm stage to provide a more comprehensive assessment of character build and significantly influence players' combat experience within the stage. So it's a fancy way of saying they just adjusted the numbers to make it more fun. So these base affixes on the Netherrealms, if you don't know what I'm talking about, every time you go into a Netherrealm area, there's random affixes of positive and negative effects. So they're basically going to be adjusting a lot of those different things. They will either impose limitations on players' abilities or boost the abilities of monsters, evaluating character build from both survival and damage perspectives. These random affixes will profoundly influence the intricacies of character build, aiming to offer a more diverse combat experience for players. Now here's the big thing here. Upon entering Time Mark 8, the Netherrealm random affixes can summon formidable special monsters, presenting a considerable challenge to players' battles. So you're going to be getting some big sub-bosses as of Time Mark 8. Also, the method of randomizing the affixes has been updated. Players will now utilize an add one affix or reset all option to the stage's base affixes. Starting with one affix, players can progressively add base affixes to the stage while also obtaining extra drop affix benefits. The add one affix requires the expenditure of the Netherrealm resonance, while the reset all can only be used a limited amount of time. So please be cautious in balancing the difficulty and rewards during gameplay. On top of the affixes, Netherrealm Chaos Invasion adjustments will be made. If you're not familiar with the Netherrealm Chaos Invasion, it involves these trait cards. There's a new method to all these trait cards. The new method for obtaining the trait cards are a system which now includes a new way to acquire unowned trait cards. This will reduce the time it takes to collect all the cards, excluding the card upgrades. Now, once the trait cards have been unlocked, the unowned trait cards will appear in various time marks and dimensions as special trait cards. Besides the card effects, players can directly obtain these corresponding trait cards by clearing the stages where they're located. The 3-choice trait card selection after each Chaos Invasion is going to remain the same, so that's not going to change. And you can still acquire unknown trait cards through the method. So it sounds like they're giving us a different way to get more cards. There's also some updates to card awakening and card adjustments, UI and compass adjustments as well. There have been several changes to the Netherrealm stage adjustments, and you can look at these if you wish. I didn't see anything that stood out to me as being super big because I haven't done that much Netherrealm farming yet. I didn't see anything really interesting that stood out to me, but take a look at these and see which ones are interesting to you. There have been some story and quest modifications, some new system optimizations, some specific changes to the rules. With the season pass, upon purchasing it, heroes included can be obtained directly without completing the manual quest or claiming the level 1 reward. For the main story, the quest skill rewards for the first 3 chapters of all heroes have been optimized, changing the multiple choice rewards to a single reward. And finally, the main story skill rewards for all heroes have been optimized. All skill rewards now match the player's current level. Here are a list of system optimizations that are in the patch, as well as some other changes. So there you have it, quite a bit. I tried to touch on the things that I'm most familiar with and also some of the bigger changes to the patch. I would expect the patch notes to change or be updated, and also expect more balance changes to be revealed the closer we get to May 9th. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to my loyal patrons at patreon.com/Bwana for supporting me and this video. You guys make it happen. Thank you so much for being so supportive in all of my endeavors, whether it includes gaming, reviews, 3D printing, live streaming, what have you. My YouTube videos here, my other channel on Bwana Clips at youtube.com/@BwanaClips. Thank you so much, Patreons. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/Bwana for as little as $5 a month. So thank you again. All right, guys, see you later. See you in the next one.